Hey, Dad? You want to have a catch?
I'd like that.
Kevin Costner is more than just an actor. He's a man who's turned his life into an epic film, complete with a $140 million oceanfront estate perched above the Pacific, a 160-acre snow-covered ranch in Colorado, and a collection of classic cars preserved like personal treasures. But behind the spotlight lies a story marked by unforgettable lows, a divorce after 18 years of marriage that shocked the public, and a passion project that nearly cost him everything he owned. From the rugged symbol of the American West to the man willing to risk it all for his art, who is the real Kevin Costner today. We're taking a closer look at the extraordinary life of Kevin Costner to find out. If you enjoy videos like this, please remember to hit the like button. It helps us more than you know, and feel free to share your thoughts in the comments below. It's hard to believe a man who once felt invisible in his own family would one day build a fortune worth over $250 million and become the spirit of America through epic films. But that's the story of Kevin Costner. He was born in Linwood, California. In 1955, the youngest child in a working-class Baptist family from Compton. His mother worked in social services. His father was a quiet electrician who believed boys should be good with their hands. The family moved constantly from dusty Compton to sun-scorched Visalia, and later to unfamiliar Orange County. Each place meant a new beginning, a new classroom, a new name on the roll, a face no one remembered. At school, Kevin rarely spoke. He sat alone at lunch. At home, his older brother earned praise for playing football. Kevin, he wrote poetry in secret after class, slipping scraps of paper under the desk like he was hiding a dream he didn't dare admit. Once, Kevin whispered to his mother, "I want to make movies someday." She folded laundry and replied softly, "Just graduate first." No argument, no encouragement, just emptiness. In a family where Baptist values taught humility, Kevin felt himself growing smaller. He wasn't jealous of his brother, but he still remembers a dinner when he was 10. Their father put a hand on his brother's shoulder and said, "I'm proud of you, son." Kevin stared down at his plate, trying to finish quickly so no one would see his eyes welling up. By age 11, Kevin took on odd jobs delivering newspapers at dawn, mowing lawns on weekends, washing cars in the summer. No one told him to, no one praised him, but under the burning sun of Compton, working alone, that quiet boy began to imagine a different world, one where people were seen, where names were remembered, where someone could live a full story in a single role. Then came the summer of 1967, and everything changed. His father lost his job. They came close to losing their home. Kevin wasn't just helping out anymore. He was trying to hold together what little was left of what family meant. One afternoon, while delivering papers on his bike, Kevin saw his father across the street. The man looked over, then turned away. No wave, no hello. Kevin didn't ask about it, but that night, he sat in his room, opened a worn notebook, and wrote his first scene. A character left behind, forgotten, but one who would rise and create a story the whole world would watch. Maybe that was the moment Hollywood began in the mind of a quiet boy on a dusty street corner in Compton. There was a role that once got cut from a film, one that nearly made Kevin Costner walk away from acting. But that very role, erased entirely from the screen, quietly changed the course of his life. In the late 1970s, while his friends settled into steady office jobs, Kevin chose a path no one dared to follow. After a brief conversation with legendary actor Richard Burton, who told him never to ignore what kept him awake at night, Kevin quit his job, enrolled in acting classes, and moved to Los Angeles. He started with nothing. By day, he drove a delivery truck. By night, he studied lines. On weekends, he chased auditions. Some nights, he slept in his car jacket pulled over his face so security wouldn't ask him to leave. Hollywood in the early 80s had no patience for unknowns, but Kevin didn't care about fame. He just wanted a role, any role. After a string of forgettable indie films, he landed a part in The Big Chill in 1983, playing Alex, a man who had died, seen only in flashbacks. He spent a full week filming. The director praised his quiet intensity, and Kevin believed this would be his first real step forward. But when the film premiered, every one of his scenes had been cut. His name didn't appear in the credits. Kevin sat quietly in the back row of the theater, waiting for a moment that never came. Then he left in silence. That was the role that vanished. He told no one, but when he got home, Kevin opened his acting notebook and wrote a single line, "If no one else can see me yet. I need to learn how to see myself first." He didn't quit. He went back to class, took notes on every expression, every breath, each night. He stood in front of a mirror, performing monologues without an audience. 2 years later, the phone rang. On the other end was Lawrence Kasdan, the very director who had cut him from The Big Chill. This time, he was offering Kevin the role of Jake in Silverado 1985, a classic Western. The role wasn't huge, but this time, Kevin made it into the final cut. On screen, Jake lit up the film, a reckless charm. A quick wit, the audience remembered his face and his name. Silverado was just successful enough for the press to start asking, "Who is Kevin Costner?" And then came the real turning point. In 1987, Kevin was cast as Elliot Ness in The Untouchables, opposite Sean Connery and Robert De Niro. At the time, he was still a rising name, not a household one. He wasn't given special treatment, but he was ready. The night before filming, Kevin sat alone in his rented apartment, flipping through his old acting notebook. In the middle of one page, the line he had written after The Big Chill was still there. This time, he brought it with him to set. The first scene, Ness stands over the body of a murdered friend. The director wanted the moment done with just the eyes, no words. Kevin stood still, no wasted motion. After 8 takes, the camera stopped. The director nodded. Just one look, no dialogue. But that was the moment Hollywood finally saw Kevin Costner. The role cut from The Big Chill was never really gone. It was just waiting for the right actor and the right moment to begin a new life. Kevin Costner walked onto the Oscar stage in 1991, holding statues for Best Director and Best Picture for Dances with Wolves. He didn't give a long speech, he didn't cry, he didn't overplay the moment. Just a steady gaze across the auditorium, as if to say, "I'm still here even after being cut from the frame." The film he directed, produced, and starred in went on to win 7 Academy Awards and brought in over $50 million, personally equivalent to more than $110 million today. But more than any figure, Dances with Wolves was a declaration a once-forgotten actor could now create his own cinematic epic. After some time away from the spotlight, Kevin returned to the small screen with Yellowstone 2018-2023 as ranch patriarch John Dutton. He didn't just capture the nation's attention, he redefined cable television success, earning up to $1.3 million per episode. He became one of the highest-paid actors in TV history, but it wasn't the paycheck that kept viewers glued to the screen. It was how he made that character feel so deeply, heartbreakingly real. From film to television, from Western epics to brutal family dramas. Kevin Costner has never fit into a box. He doesn't chase Hollywood trends. He forges his own path, sometimes uphill, but always true to himself. His success didn't come from luck. It came from never giving up, even after being erased from a scene he believed in with all his heart. And after decades of blockbuster hits, Kevin never used his fortune to show off. He built a world of his own, not with glittering castles, but with quiet, intentional spaces, places where he could live, remember, and breathe. Carpinteria Compound, California, nestled between the Santa Barbara coastline and peaceful farmland. This was Kevin's first major step beyond the screen. He bought the property in 1988, just as his career was taking off, but still uncertain. A soft green lawn stretches to the ocean's edge. The main house sits behind rows of palms, with a private path that leads down to a stretch of white sand where only his family walks. This isn't a mansion built to impress. It's silent, secluded, just far enough from Hollywood's glare, yet close enough that every morning, Kevin can step out onto the balcony, breathe in the ocean air, and remind himself all of this started with a beat-up truck and a deleted scene. Today, the land is valued at over $145 million, but to Kevin, it's priceless. Dunbar Ranch, Aspen, 160 acres deep in the Colorado Pines. Kevin didn't buy this place to live in luxury, but to live with purpose. He named it after his character in Dances with Wolves, a personal promise never to forget where his inspiration came from. Here, he got married, raised his kids, built fires in the winter, and wrote scripts during long, snowy nights, rustic log cabins, Pine-blanketed trails? A small creek winding through the land, it feels like a scene from one of his own films. The ranch now rents for $50,000 per night, but Kevin rarely allows strangers to stay. For him, this isn't a vacation rental, it's a place made of memories. Santa Barbara Estate. One of Kevin's boldest decisions was mortgaging this very home with its sweeping views of the Pacific to help fund his 2024 film, Horizon. The house isn't enormous, just 2 bedrooms, but it sits on a cliffside where the sunsets turn the sky violet. A horse trail loops around the hill. Pines whistle in the wind. He once said, "If I lose this home because of a film, at least I lost it for what I believed in." Though Horizon didn't perform as hoped, the house still stands not just as a $1 million property, but as a symbol of courage and conviction. None of these places are castles, but each is a chapter of his journey where Kevin once started, once loved, once risked it all, and became who he is. The vehicles, silent machines that speak like a man. Kevin Costner has never been one to flash speed or wealth. His garage isn't a showroom, it's a vault of memories, every vehicle tied to a moment, a mood, a version of the man he once was. The car that's been with him the longest is a 1968 Shelby Mustang GT350H deep green, matte black interior with a steering wheel worn smooth from night drives, valued today at around $250,000 among collectors. But for Kevin, it's beyond price. He once spotted the car through a dealership window in Durham while filming Bull Durham. He couldn't afford it then, but years later, after The Bodyguard made him a star, he went back and bought that exact model, not because he needed it, but because the kid who once dreamed of it still lived in him. Next to it sits a customized Toyota Tundra Platinum, worth around $70,000. Not flashy, not fast, but strong and reliable just like Kevin. He uses it mostly at Dunbar Ranch, hauling firewood, taking the kids horseback riding, or driving out alone to the creek to write. The body bears scratches he never painted over. He says, "I want to remember where I've been." For longer trips, he drives an Audi S8, a luxury sedan with near-perfect soundproofing, dark brown leather interior, priced around $120,000. He doesn't play music, just listens to the wind slipping past the glass, letting his mind drift toward scenes he hasn't written yet. Then there are the collectibles, a restored first-generation Ford Bronco estimated at $90,000, and a 1976 Cadillac Eldorado Coupe and Icon from Classic Cinema, now valued between $40,000 and $60,000 depending on condition. He doesn't drive them often, but he polishes them, starts them regularly, as if preserving not just the cars, but the memories they carry. No roaring supercars, no $1 million collections for Instagram. Kevin Costner's machines don't shout, they whisper, because to him, a vehicle isn't about attention, it's about reminding yourself where you're going and where you came from. To Kevin Costner, luxury isn't about noise, it's about the freedom to live life on your own terms without asking permission. He wakes early, brews coffee by hand, walks the grassy hills when he's not filming. He stays home writing music, editing scripts, building furniture, spending time with his children. No parties, no social media. Just a world where the wind and his thoughts are louder than applause. Family has always been his anchor. Kevin has 7 children from 3 relationships. His first marriage to Cindy Silva lasted over 16 years, ending in 1994 with a reported settlement of more than $80 million. Then came Christine Baumgartner, almost 20 years his junior and mother of his 3 youngest children. They were seen as one of Hollywood's more stable couples, until she filed for divorce in 2023, seeking $248,000 per month in support. The split was quiet, but left a long silence in his personal life. Still, Kevin never missed the important moments, from soccer fields to small recitals. He's always been there, no camera, no speech, just presence. He lives simply. No private jets, no bodyguards. He drives himself to set, spends carefully, except on things that carry meaning: the piano from The Postman, the bow from Robin Hood, handwritten letters from his parents hanging in his study. And maybe that quietness is what makes Kevin Costner's kind of luxury so rare, a way of life not everyone dares to live. Kevin Costner once had it all: fame, love, children, and the respect of the public. But just like the westerns he loved so much, even heroes must walk through their own desert. In 1995, Kevin bet his career on Waterworld. With a massive budget exceeding $175 million, it became the most expensive film in Hollywood at the time. Kevin not only starred in it, he also co-produced, but when the film hit theaters, it was a shock. Critics slammed the script, audiences were underwhelmed, and the media had a field day mocking it. From box office king, he was suddenly branded a box office disaster all in a single summer. Then came The Postman 2 years later, a deeply personal project that Kevin directed and had poured his heart into. But it, too, was met with commercial failure. Every scene he carefully crafted, every message he tried to share, no one seemed willing to listen. What he saw as meaningful, others called pretentious and out of touch. But the deepest pain didn't come from the screen. It came from the home he thought would last. In 1994, his 16-year marriage to Cindy Silva ended. They had once been considered one of Hollywood's golden couples, but the long stretches of filming, the constant media pressure, and rumors of infidelity during Waterworld pushed their relationship to the brink. The divorce cost more than $80 million, not just financially, but emotionally. It was the first visible crack in a private life Kevin had long protected. He remained quiet for years, but then in 2023, his second marriage came to an end as well. Christine Baumgartner filed for divorce after 18 years together. In the documents, she requested $248,000 per month in child support for their 3 children. This time, Kevin made no public statements, just a short release. "Everything I do now is for my kids." That same year, Kevin placed what remained of his fortune on the line for Horizon: An American Saga, a 4-part western that he wrote, directed, and funded himself. He mortgaged his Santa Barbara estate and invested more than $38 million of his own money. But the first installment debuted in a cooling movie market, bringing in just around $1 million during its opening week. Critics called it stubborn. Some said his time had passed. But in an interview, when asked if he had any regrets, Kevin simply replied, "If I have to lose everything to protect what I still believe in, I'll accept that." In a world where everyone wants to be loved instantly and succeed overnight, Kevin Costner chose a different road, one that's slower, quieter, and if he has to fail, he'd rather fail for loving something deeply. Will these setbacks erase his legacy, or become the foundation for something far more enduring? In Hollywood, people are usually remembered for a role, a film, or a scandal. But with Kevin Costner, what people remember is how he never made himself the center of everything. He never tried to become a legend. He simply lived with quiet conviction, and somewhere along the way, that became his legacy. Not everyone directs and stars in a sweeping epic like Dances with Wolves and turns it into a cinematic phenomenon. Not everyone can return after failures like The Postman and keep telling stories in their own visual language. And not many, past the age of 60, come back to lead a major television series like Yellowstone, stopping America in its tracks every weekend, just to hear him speak with that steady voice and weathered gaze. In an era ruled by technology and viral moments, Kevin Costner still manages to silence the noise with nothing more than presence. But his legacy doesn't end on screen. In 2011, he sold an oil spill filtration technology he had invested into BP for $52 million at a time when the ocean was bleeding from an environmental disaster. No headlines, no speeches, just quiet action. His co-founded project, Here, an app that tells historical and cultural stories based on where you travel, helps Americans better understand the land they live on. And Tatanka, a cultural center in South Dakota that honors the lives of Native peoples, stands as a quiet apology from a generation that once looked away. To his children, Kevin doesn't leave behind a glittering world. He leaves behind presence. He teaches them how to ride a horse, how to brew coffee, how to be silent when it matters. He doesn't give them fame. He gives them patience. To audiences, Kevin Costner isn't a perfect man, but he's someone we can all look at and recognize a part of ourselves, someone who's made mistakes, been left behind, lost nearly everything, but never gave up. He once said, "When I was young, I wanted to do something big, but later, I realized the biggest thing is living true to yourself. without hurting anyone else. In an industry that constantly demands change, Kevin chose to stay grounded, and it's that steadiness, that refusal to chase trends that truly sets him apart. Because a real legacy isn't measured in golden statues or glowing headlines. It's found in how you live, especially when no one's watching. And at the end of it all, perhaps the most valuable thing Kevin Costner leaves behind isn't a beachfront estate, or even his most iconic roles. It's a feeling that when this man walks into a room, he doesn't have to say much for everything to go quiet. He doesn't move fast. He doesn't speak loudly. But every step he takes, every story he tells, leaves a mark. Subtle, but never forgotten. And in a world that's only getting louder, maybe that, above all, is the rarest kind of luxury.